Will Goldstein here, thekingscourt.com. So, time to subscribe down that little button in there in the right-hand corner if you want, or anytime during the video if you like the videos. Also, if you're interested in my music, you can follow the links on the About page of this channel. You can find whatever you want there. If you want to listen to music, play music, sheet music, digital albums, it's all the books, it's all there on this channel. Like I said, the About page. So the video title for this video is The Ancient Greek Mysteries. Subtitle is a Gateway to Philosophy and Religion and God. So I'm not going to repeat what was said in earlier videos, general statements applicable to all the non-Christian religions. But in a nutshell, I believe that the nations of the world will eventually unite under Christ, and these religions helped in that process, even if it is after a great tribulation period and apocalypse. And in the Western world, the Greek mysteries certainly played their part. And that's what this video is all about, the part they played. So, as said before in other videos, St. Francis of Assisi once said, "So precious is a person's faith in God, so precious, never should we harm that, because He, God, gave birth to all religions." So I would say that God was definitely there and present in the creation of the Greek mysteries. Some people would go, even Christians might go, "Whoa, well, I intend to show you how and why." So Orpheus was a renowned poet, and according to the legend, traveled with Jason and the Argonauts in search of the Golden Fleece, and this is legend here, and even descended into the underworld of Hades to recover his lost wife Eurydice. Before going much further than that, so look, that's a legend. But you know, Orpheus himself existed so long ago, he could have existed around the time of Moses, that you could equally say, since he's the founder of this ancient religion, that this could be a value for one of the most ancient religions of the world, and it certainly is. And that's why I'm doing it in this order, because it's way back there. So the ancient Greeks, authors such as Strabo and Plutarch, noted Orpheus's Thracian origins. He was the son of a Thracian king, a musician on the lyre, a lyric poet, inspiration for Mithraism, Sol Invictus, which means the invincible sun god. Just say something about that. So if you know about Orpheus, he was very much into the sun god. So some people might say, well, he worshipped the sun. Well, did he worship the sun, or did he worship the particular God that created the sun? I choose to believe, or believe at least, that it was the latter. Okay, whatever God there is that created that sun up there, that's the God I worship, and that was, And later on, I'll say in this that he called that God Apollo. So let's see. So he is the foundation of he was also led to the formation, whatever, of the Dionysian Mysteries. This is all part of, the Greek mysteries. The mystery rites and purification rituals. The Orphic way of life. He was a vegetarian. He also abstained from sex, so he was into chastity, which is sort of similar to the ancient Essenes. He was a founder, like I said, he was the great founder of this mystery religion, and the first to reveal to men the meanings of initiation rites. That's probably debatable. Maybe Pythagoras would be back in that category. So he sang songs of lament, some things about him. He was a musician and a mystery priest. And that's basically what he did. He was the word Orphic Orpheus is associated with oracles and fascinating and entrancing, and probably because of the oracle of Orpheus. So at the end of his life, he disdained the worship of all gods except the sun, which he called the Apollo, the god of light. Interesting. Illumination, what we've been talking about. So the Thracians, a little bit about them, because he was part of that kingdom, the Thracians. It was a land of Orpheus. He was born in an ancient place called Pimlia, and the Thracian kingdom was in central and southeastern Europe, near the Aegean and Black Seas. They were an Indo-European people who dominated large swaths of land between southern Russia, Serbia, and western Turkey for a lot of antiquity. And the evidence suggests that they lived in the region since at least 1300 BC. So right there, we're getting back, close to the time of Moses. So this, like I said, at least. So, anyway, so Orphism is the name given to a set of religious beliefs and practices originating in the ancient Greek and Hellenistic world, as well as by the Thracians, and is associated with the literature ascribed to the mythical poet Orpheus, who we're talking about, who I already said he descended in Hades to rescue Eurydice, his wife, and returned. The major stories about him are centered around his ability to charm all living things and even stones with his music. His attempt to retrieve his wife, Eurydice, from the underworld, that's where she was, in the underworld, and his death at the hands of those who could not hear his divine music. Surviving written fragments show a number of beliefs about the afterlife, similar to those in the Orphic mythology about Dionysius' death and resurrection. And there are bone tablets that were found in Olympia in 5th century BC and carry a short and enigmatic inscription that it has to do with life, death, life. So it sounds like a reincarnation to me. Proclus preserved a copy of Orphic verses, and he observes that the demiurgus, or artificer of the world, being full of ideas, comprehended by these all things within himself, as that theologer Orpheus declares. So here's a poem by Orpheus. Jove, I find this very fascinating. That's why I'm reading it. It's a little bit long, but it's pretty fascinating reading by this very ancient man. Jove is the first and last thundering king, middle and head. From Jove all beings spring. Sounds like God to me. In Jove the male and female forms combine, for Jove is a man and yet a maid divine. A man. Hey, Jesus. Jove, the strong basis of the earth contains, in the deep splendor of the starry plains. Jove is the breath of all. Jove's wondrous frame lives in the rage of ever restless flame. Divine light. Jove is the sea's strong root, the solar light. And Jove's the moon, fair regent of the night. Jove is a king by no restraint confined, and all things flow from Jove's prolific mind. Isn't that what this whole video series is about? One is the power divine in all things known, and one the ruler absolute alone. For in Jove's royal body all things lie, fire, night, and day, earth, water, and the sky. The first begetter's pleasing love and mind, these in his mighty body Jove confined. See how his beauteous head and aspect bright illumined heaven and scatter boundless light. Sounds like Almighty God, doesn't it? Round which his pendant golden tresses shine, formed from the starry beams with light divine. On either side 2 radiant horns behold, shaped like a bowls and bright with glittering gold. Bowls? Is he making a reference to Aaron with the calf? Gold? It sounds like he knows about it. And east and west in opposition lie the lucid paths of all the gods on high. His eyes, a sun and moon with borrowed ray, royal, ethereal, and his ear refined, hears every voice and sounds of every kind. Thus are his head and mind immortal. Bright, his body's boundless, stable, full of light. Radiant beings, L. Strong are his members with a force endowed, powerful to tame, but never to be subdued. The extended region of surrounding air forms his broad shoulders, back, and bosom fair. And through the world, the ruler of the skies, his sacred belly, earth with fertile plains, and mountains swelling to the clouds contains. His middle zones a spreading sea profound, whose roaring waves the solid globe surround. The distant realms of Tartarus obscure. Tartarus is the lowest in Greek mythology. Tartarus is the bottom of hell for evil people. So he's saying the distant realms of Tartarus, where the evil is, that's obscure. In other words, he's saying, righteousness! Yay, Orpheus! What a guy! So here, this is even more fascinating. Is Jove in the Orphic verses Yahweh? If we check a pronunciation chart of classical Latin, in a book called Vox Latina, which is one of the most respected authoritative books on the pronunciation of classical Latin, we find that this J, for Joe, is pronounced as double E sound, as in the word sheep, E-O, and then O is pronounced as A sound, as in the word father, and the V is pronounced as W, as in the word whale, and the E is pronounced as E in the word pet. If we put these sounds together, A, W, W, A, it pronounces Yahweh. Joe, who he's just making this pronunciation about, is Yahweh the God of the Jews. Okay, now, there you have it. So E and the plus the R sound equals Yah, and the W and the A put together way. Put the two sounds together and pronounces Yahweh, spelled Yov in classical Latin, which is the king of all the Roman gods. Okay, Yahweh, Jove. So the Orphic quotes, I don't know whether this one's by him, but it's the sacred rites benevolent to tend and grant a blameless life, a blessed one. Blameless life, a blessed one? Righteousness? Propitious to the mystics' work, incline mystics. The word Orphic is related to mysticism. Propitious to thy mystics' works incline, rejoicing come, for holy rites are thine, holy rites. Orpheus taught that the soul is divine, immortal, and aspires to freedom, while the body holds it in fetters as a prisoner. Sounds like that's where Plato got his idea of us being in a prison. Death dissolves this compact, but only to re-imprison the liberated soul after a short time, reincarnation, for the wheel of birth revolves inexorably. Thus the soul continues to its journey, alternating between a separate, unrestrained existence and fresh reincarnation, round the wide circle of necessity, the circle of necessity, as the companion of many bodies of men and animals. So in other words, whatever your deeds are, you're going to either go up or down the scale. To these unfortunate prisoners, Orpheus proclaims the message of liberation. That sounds like Buddhism. That they stand in need of the grace of redeeming gods. So similarities between Orphism and Christianity. The Orphic writings date back to possibly as early as 2000 BC, so it's closer to Judaism. So the Orphic religion And I'm not sure about this, but some claim this. So I'm not. So that's why I'm saying I'm not sure about it. The Orphic religion is the fish religion, and it's a mystery cult, a fringe religion of Greek society, which promised its followers in the ancient world a better afterlife. So when it's talking about the fish religion, it's talking about ichthus, the fish symbol. That's associated with Christianity. So, some people claim this. I'm not saying it is. That's why I'm telling you. Some people only claim this. But, so some say, the fish symbol, ichthus, is meaning in Greek, Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior. That's what that symbol means. So, for Orphism, others say that the symbol for Orphic Mysteries was the serpent entwined egg. So it's not just a serpent, it's a serpent entwined egg, which signifies cosmos as encircled by the fiery creative spirit. That's probably what mostly you're going to see as a symbol of Orphism. So that's the end of Orphism. So now I'm into the Dionysian Mysteries. So the Dionysian Mysteries were a ritual of ancient Greece and Rome, and they used intoxicants. So where do we get the idea of drugs? Trying to have some spiritual experience. They used intoxicants and other trance-inducing techniques, like dance and music. Sounds like modern society to me. To remove inhibitions and social constraints, liberating the individual to return to a natural state, a liberation for those marginalized by Greek society. So the people that tended to participate in it were women, slaves, and foreigners. In their final phase, the mysteries shifted their emphasis from an underworld orientation to a transcendental. So at least they're going upwards. Mystical one, it is a mystical sort of thing. And dissemination, they use wine as a sacrament. They also use beer, apparently, honey, mead, and wax. I'm not sure what the wax had to do with it. But the intoxicating and disinhibiting effects of wine were regarded as due to possession by the god spirit. So they were intoxicated by the god spirit, supposedly, and causing some sort of possession even. They were I guess they were temporarily possessed by this god. So an understanding of vinicultural lore and its symbolism is key to understanding the cult which emerged from it. So it's talking about wine. Assuming a significant other winemaking that would encompass life, death, and rebirth, and providing insight into human psychology. A return to the source of being, which would later assume mystical overtones. It also involves escape from the socialized personality and ego into an ecstatic, deified state. So they're exactly like ecstatic, deified state. Isn't that what mysticism is all about in Christianity? Is getting closer to oneness with God. Okay, that's why they use deified state. Not they're becoming God, they're just becoming one with God, in a union with God, not in his essence, but in participating in his divine rays. So in the ancient text, following the torches, as they dipped and swayed in the darkness, they climbed mountain paths. And now it's describing what they were doing during their rituals. They climbed mountain paths with head thrown back and eyes glazed, dancing to the beat of the drum, which stirred their blood. Sound like they were drinking a lot of wine, getting high, and is trying to have some mystical experience of God, it sounds like to me. And they staggered, drunkenly with what was known as the Dionysian gait. In this state of ecstasy or enthusiasmos, they abandoned themselves. They were trying to get out of themselves, just like somebody who takes drugs or alcohol today. And dancing wildly and shouting, "Yoe!" the God's name. And at that moment of intense rapture, became identified with the God himself. That's what they believed. And they became filled with his spirit and acquired divine powers according to what they thought. So that's the Dionysian Mysteries. The Eleusinian Mysteries, another sect, were initiated. These sound like it sounds like honestly, for me, a degeneration sort of what Orpheus was all about. I don't think Orpheus would have condoned this, although this is kind of following down that trend. The Eleusinian Mysteries were initiation ceremonies held every year for the cult of Demeter and Persephone, based at Eleusis in ancient Greece. And the idea of immortality, well, there we go, which appears in syncretic religions of antiquity, was introduced in late antiquity. The mysteries represented the myth of the abduction of Persephone from her mother Demeter by the king of the underworld, Hades, in a cycle with three phases: the descent or the loss, the search, and the ascent. With the main theme, the ascent of Persephone and the reunion with her mother, which brought springtime. Descent into this world, ascent, springtime, God, heaven. The rites, ceremonies, and beliefs were kept secret and consistently preserved from antiquity. The initiated believed that they would have a reward and the afterlife. Well, there you go. There are many paintings and pieces of pottery that depict various aspects of the mysteries. Mysteries involve visions and conjurings of an afterlife. Some scholars believe that the power and longevity of the Eleusinian Mysteries came from psychedelic agents. Some people believe that. So they weren't just getting high on that, but they were probably using psychedelic agents. One line of thought by modern scholars has been that the mysteries were intended to elevate man above the human sphere into the divine. Isn't that what mysticism is all about in Christianity? And to assure his redemption by making him God, small g, and so conferring immortality upon him. That's exactly what the Orthodox Christian Church believes. The Eleusinian Mysteries became pan-Hellenic, and pilgrims flocked from Greece and beyond to participate. Around 300 BC, there was a vast increase in the number of initiates. The only requirements for membership were never having committed a murder. Well, that's although in Christianity, you could even do that. Repentance is part of it, and not being a barbarian. See, what I've been trying to suggest in this video is that they're trying to escape from the barbarian mentality. There'll be more about that later. That's what these mysteries are all about. They're trying to escape from that mentality. Not being a barbarian, and men, women, and even slaves were allowed in initiation. So there were four categories of people that participated in the Eleusinian Mysteries. There was priests, priestesses, and hierophants, and that was a priest in ancient Greece, specifically the chief priest, and a person who explains, an expositor, one who defends or maintains a cause or a proposal. He's like an advocate, he's a priest. So initiates, and they're the ones that are undergoing the ceremony for the first time. And then there's others who had already participated at least once, and they were eligible for what's called the fourth category. And those who had attained contemplation, wow, look at that. Listen to that word, contemplation. I mean, contemplation is the essence of, Christian mysticism. Contemplation is different than meditation. Meditation is kind of thinking about something over, pondering a scripture and how all its applications, so it involves thought. Contemplation is the exact opposite. It involves no thought. It's receiving from God. So meditation is more about digesting, kind of like the cow chewing the cud, digesting and trying to learn more and understanding with your mind. And contemplation is more about receiving the illumination from God. So those who had attained contemplation had learned the secrets of the greatest mysteries of Demeter. Interesting. The goddess of agriculture, fertility, is recounted in one of the Homeric hymns. So those who are being admitted to the highest grade in these mysteries are the mighty, the marvelous, and most perfect, ready to receive secrets suitable for one initiated into the highest mystic truths. So there's a lot of stuff that were secrets in this, and they would not reveal these secrets. Okay, in fact, if you did reveal them, so there's really very little known about it, because if you did reveal them, then you were subject to death. So that's why there's not that much known about it. So the lesser mysteries signify the mysteries of the soul and subjection to the body. Upon completion of the lesser mysteries, participants were deemed mysti. Where do we get the word mysticism? Mystics? Mysti. They were deemed mysti. Initiates, initiates worthy of witnessing the greater mysteries. So there's a level of ascent going on here, spiritual ascent. The greater mysteries, mysticans participate in splendid visions, the felicity of the soul, felicity, happiness, both here and hereafter, when purified from the defilements of a material nature and constantly elevated to the realities of intellectual spiritual vision. So they were in the ancient world you have the term know thyself. Okay, that's what this is all about. Going inside and knowing. They were trying to figure out the spiritual realm inside. Know thyself. According to Plato, the ultimate design of the mysteries, and this is Plato reflecting on it, was to lead us back to the principles from which we descended, a perfect enjoyment of intellectual spiritual good. In other words, God. We came from God, now we're going back and trying to understand who God is. Cicero, in his Laws 2, 1436, wrote, "The procession to Eleusis began at Kerameikos, the Ephesian cemetery, on 19th Bodromion, from where the people walked to Eleusis along what was called the Sacred Way. As to the climax of the mysteries, there are two modern theories. Some hold that the priests were the ones to reveal the visions of the holy night, consisting of a fire that represented the possibility of life after death and various sacred objects. Fire, light, life after death. Upon reaching Eleusis, there was a day of fasting in commemoration of Demeter's fasting while searching for Persephone. The fast was broken while drinking a special drink of barley and pennyroyal called kykion. Then the initiates entered a great hall called telesterion. In the center stood the anaktoron, which is a palace, which only the hierophants, that's the priests, could enter, where sacred objects were stored. Before Misthai could enter, so those were the initiates, could enter the telesterion, the hall, they would recite, "I have fasted, I have drunk the kykion, I have taken from the kiste," which is a box, after working it, have put it back in the kalathos and opened the basket. Though I know the kalakos is the open basket. I'm not sure what that means. So combined with these three elements was the apotheta, the unrepeatables. The penalty for divulging them was death, like I just said. The priests were the ones to reveal the visions of the holy night, visions they're talking about, consisting of a fire that represented the possibility of life after death, like the Zoroastrians, the fire, and various sacred objects. The experiences may have been mediated by a powerful psychoactive ingredient contained in the kykion drink. Psychedelics. Following this section of the mysteries was the Panchias, an all-night feast accompanied by dancing and merriment. And the dances, sounds like a nice party to me. The dances took place in the Rarian field, rumored to be the first spot where grain grew. A bull sacrifice also took place late that night or early the next morning. And then the initiates honored the dead by pouring libations from special vessels. Here's some quotes. That was all by Cicero. So the claim is also made that men who have taken part in the mysteries became both more pious, This is what a barbarian to spiritual. They became more pious and more just and better in every respect than they were before. I think this is basically what Cicero said, so I think this probably was Cicero. And this is the reason, we are told, why the most famous both of the ancients' heroes and of the demigods were eagerly desirous of taking part in the initiatory rites. And in fact, Jason and Dioscuri and Heracles and Orpheus as well, after their initiation, attained success in all the companions they undertook, because these gods appeared to them. So they were apparently having some sort of super vicious natural experience. Okay, this is in Diodorus, Cyclus 5, 48 and 49. Another quote: "He who has succeeded in getting inside, know thyself, and has seen a great light." I'll say those words again. He who has succeeded in getting inside and has seen a great light, as though a shrine were opened, adopts another bearing of silence and amazement, and humble and orderly attends upon reason as upon a god. So this is Plutarch, Progress and Virtue 81e. Another quote: they saw a vision, beholding apparitions innocent and simple and calm and happy as in a mystery, shining in pure light, pure ourselves. Socrates. So he was involved in these mysteries. Okay, the foundation of democracy, the foundations of the writing of Plato, the foundations of the current world we live in. Okay? That was written by Socrates. So I'll read it again, actually. "I saw a vision, beholding apparitions innocent and simple and calm and happy as in a mystery, shining in pure light, pure ourselves." Again, Socrates. So look, God is wrap up here. God is a lover of all mankind. We are his children from every race and nation, just like the Bible says, and from every age upon the earth. That means before Christ came, and even in a region where the Jews didn't exist. Okay, so Christ loves all humanity. God loves all humanity. Well, they could be the same. He called them into ancient times by whatever means he could, until his dear Son was sent to earth for all to see the glory to be revealed, the shining of his being, Jesus Christ, who even now is calling you into his kingdom. So it's interesting, where is the center of Christian mysticism today? Well, Mount Athos would probably be the top choice among people who really understand mysticism, and that's in Greece. Exactly where this is all coming. Is it any wonder? So in the ancient Greek mysteries, I would suggest that the instinctive barbarian in ancient man found a doorway into the spiritual realm that they otherwise did not have before. And thus we have the birth of philosophy, democracy, human rights, as a means of God's preparation of the world to receive the teachings of Jesus Christ, and thus the world we have today. I hope you enjoyed this video on the ancient Greek mysteries. I find studying these very fascinating and very enlightening. I hope you do too.